What happens when God keeps drawing your attention to the same broken place day after day until one day you just can't look away anymore? In this episode, you'll meet our guest, Kenzie, who didn't feel overly equipped or prepared, but she felt called. And that quiet yes turned into a ministry under a bridge in the heart of Dallas, offering haircuts, hot showers, and hope to people who felt forgotten. It didn't start with a grand plan, it started with obedience. And isn't that how God so often works? The Lord will guide you always. He will satisfy your needs in a sun-scorched land and will strengthen your frame. You will be like a well-watered garden. Isaiah 58:11. Whether you're driving, folding laundry, or walking through your own uncertain situation, lean in. This story is proof that God does beautiful work in unlikely places. Now don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share. It helps more people hear stories just like this, stories of faith, grit, and God showing up right where we are.
All right, so this is our very, very special guest that we have with
very special
us today. You are. This is Kenzie, and she is going to be sharing a very cool story with us today that I'm so excited that we get to hear and that our listeners get to hear. So that's very special.
And I don't even know what the story is. I think this is the first guest we've had that I have audience. Yeah, so I'm super excited.
Yeah, I haven't really given you, I don't think, any information. So
I get to be surprised with everyone else.
I might go completely rogue then. I might just tell it to completely different.
You can't. You've probably got a lot of good ones. So, whatever's in your heart, Kenzie, we would love to hear.
That's funny.
Okay, well, we'll start with our God in the Grocery Aisle moments for the week, and then we'll get into Kenzie's story. So I'll start us out this week. I normally make Brienne, but I'll take one for the team. Okay, so I have been reading through the Bible this year without any structure, I guess, or support. So last year I read through it with the Bible recap, which was amazing and super helpful.
Did you finish it all?
I did. Okay. I did. And I stayed pretty on track, like there would be days where maybe I'd get behind and I would just catch right back up. Yeah. So this year I thought I'm just going to do it by myself. I'm just going to read through the Bible without, something guiding me along the way. Cause I've read stuff about, the benefit of doing that without someone else's commentary.
And you wanted to read it like a book.
Yes, from start to finish. And the Bible recap is chronological. So, you're kind of jumping around, and I wanted to just do it cover to cover.
Okay.
So that's how I started. And I was on track. I was following my plan, which I was trying to read 7 chapters a day. And I had been doing it up until like a couple of weeks ago. And then I got sick and I just started falling off. And at the time where I kind of started falling off, I was in Kings. And I was really struggling to get through that. And then when I really, really fell off, I had gotten to Chronicles. And so I was to the point where like some nights I wasn't even reading anything. And then sometimes it was like 1 chapter or 2 chapters or 3 chapters, and I just had gotten totally off track. And I was like mentally really struggling with this, but I was still having a hard time getting back into it. And so I just yesterday was talking to a friend, and she was telling me about this difficult time that she went through in her life. And she said that God really specifically took her to this passage in 2 Chronicles. And it just it's what she needed at that time. And it was so important and valuable to her that she even started writing a Bible study about it, like this study about this specific verse or book. You probably know, but it's like a part of it. I don't know if it was a verse or a book or Chronicles, whatever, but it just struck me that I was literally where she was talking about, and I was struggling to find maybe this is the way to say it, to find value, I guess. And
that's real.
Yeah. And here she is writing a Bible study about this very same thing. So it really just helped me reset my mind to okay, it's not the book that's the problem. It's me and my heart, where my mind's at. And I just need to kind of get a reset and reframe and get back into it. And so that was, super helpful for me and gave me a new sense of, I don't know, excitement going forward.
A boost you need.
Yes.
For
yeah.
sure.
So that was really cool.
This is not the God in the grocery aisle moment that I'm going to share, but I've been reading through the Old Testament, and I'm not trying to really do it in a year. I'm just like reading, and however far I get in 30 minutes a night or whatever, that's what I read. And
Right. Yeah.
I look at commentaries and whatever. But so it just happens, which I now that I'm literally saying this out loud, I'm realizing this is not a coincidence.
Sure, of course.
Yeah. So I had found this podcast, which I've talked about before, called The Bible Guys. And it just happens that they are going through the same, like they're going through the Old Testament, and it is pretty well aligned. Like where they're at is either like just before where I'm at or like just behind where I'm at. And so like I've had a similar experience where it's like there's like Leviticus, or right now I'm in Second Chronicles, and it's like you start reading these like genealogies, and you're like, what am I supposed to gain from this?
That's what I was just saying to Kenzie.
Yeah. And then I'm watching their podcasts, and like they're unpacking it, and it brings it to life in a way that like I would never have seen. And so, it's like sometimes you do just need that like outside perspective. So like, while it's great to go through the Bible cover to cover on your own, it's also great to like have that little bit of outside influence to be like, no, there is value even in this like super mundane stuff. Not mundane, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's what I was saying to Kenzie about this specifically, Chronicles, is I was in the genealogies, and I'm like, I don't even know what I've read and what I haven't, and I'm never going to remember any of these names. So like, what are we doing here?
My pastor gave a sermon one time. I don't remember what passage it was about, but he just talked about how as Christians, we have to start like retraining the way that we say like, oh, this was a crazy coincidence, or this was just so crazy that this happened, because like, or how lucky it's not. It's like we don't deal with coincidence and luck. Like God truly goes before us. And so he knew you would be stuck in Second Chronicles or in whatever Chronicles you were in. And he knew that Courtney had something that she gleaned from it, and that y'all were going to have that conversation. And it was kind of going to boost you a little bit. Like I've tried to retrain myself to not think like, oh my gosh, how crazy was that?
Right.
Like, or what are the odds? Like there are not odds. It's like God knew. And so he put that conversation in there for you.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's like just doing this podcast, and especially the weekly God in the grocery aisle moments. Like that's something that I have started to realize so much, is just like in every detail, it's like we know that logically, but when you really start noticing and thinking about it, like God is in every detail.
Love it.
And I had been watching this series about, the God's creation of the earth. And they're talking about how impossible it would be for things to exist without the hand of God. And that there's these like mathematical equations that just can't possibly be existing. And that's just in the way that the earth is set up. And it really caused me to think about like, our lives are exactly the same way. There's these like mathematically impossible situations, because it's all orchestrated by God. And how much more he created us in his image, like how much more is he invested in our lives, what I mean, than just the dirt on the earth. So it's pretty amazing. Okay, well, that was an amazing conversation. Do you want to share your actual God in the grocery aisle moment was, Brian?
Sure. And now I have to remember what it was.
Or you don't have to. That was a good one too.
I'm having complete.
Okay, we'll come back to you.
Let me get mine.
Kenzie, you're up.
Okay, so we have a daughter, and she's looking to move back home. She's 20, about to be 22, and she wants to do ministry, and she wants to do it with teenagers. She's really gifted in that way, in that area. And, we were talking about different things she should do. She should apply at churches, what should she do? And all of a sudden the Lord was like, I don't, I'm going to say I don't know it was the Lord. I know it was the Lord, but like, I don't know if the Young Life thing will pan out. But He did give me the idea of like, let's look into Young Life. And because I know a ton of people that do Young Life, some people in my family do Young Life. My sister Courtney is really involved in Young Lives. And so I don't know why I hadn't thought about it before, honestly. So last week, I just brought it to her. I was like, we need to think about Young Life. Like, we need to look into that and just see if there's anything there. And ever since then, I'm not joking, y'all, like, so many conversations have happened with the most, I'm going to say random. I shouldn't say random because it's not random. People that I'm like, I've known these people and we've never talked about Young Life. And here we are talking about it. Like, there was a teacher that I teach with at FBA, and her and I have gotten to be pretty good friends. And she just randomly started talking to me about how they volunteer with Young Life and their best friends are the directors of Young Life. And I'm just like, we've never talked about this before. And we've talked about so many things.
Yeah.
And I was serving in our nursery at church, and we always have the same volunteers, except for one couldn't come that day. And so we had a sub. The sub came in. I was like, what do you do? Just trying to get to know her. She's a Young Life worker.
Of course.
And then the last one was my aunt who lives in Houston. She texted me out of the blue, and she was like, I'm having a conversation right now with a friend of, long story short, of someone that I coach at FBA, a family that I work with at FBA. And they are the directors of a Young Life in the Dallas area. I'm just like, that is just crazy. And it's not crazy because God made it happen. And I'm hoping that those conversations lead to something for heaven.
Yeah.
But even if it doesn't, it's just kind of like, man, God, you heard us talk about that. Like, you were with us when we talked about Young Life, and you are just showing us that you're involved in this. You're wanting the best for heaven. You want heaven to do what you've called her to do and equipped her to do. And these conversations might lead to something that's going to be really good for her. So,
100%.
Yeah.
I love that. And like you said, maybe that isn't where it will lead.
Right.
It sounds like it could, and hopefully, prayerfully it does, but maybe not. Maybe that's not what He has, but it's just like, He's telling you, you can just see, no matter where it ends up, like, He was in these thoughts and these conversations. Yep. Do you want to share, or shall we?
I did remember that, jogged my memory again. My other one might have actually been better. Anyway, because I remembered. So I've had a similar thing recently, and it's funny because we've talked about this on the podcast before. This idea of like community, and I think you had shared some things about like how God led you, Chelsea, into community at your church and such.
Sure.
And so this has been a theme that like keeps coming up, like, and I don't know, I'm going to be honest, like, I don't know how much of it is I'm more aware of it. Like, it's something that I'm actively thinking about. And so I'm like noticing it in more places. But even that, I feel like it's like, God puts things on our hearts, right? And so He draws our attention to certain things that He wants to speak to us, I think. And so I've just been like, in sermons that I listen to, or podcasts, or just like randomly talking to people. The last podcast we did, just this idea of community, and that's something that my husband and I have for a couple of months been talking about. Like, we feel like we're missing in our lives is a community, and so I'm going to be real honest and say I haven't found it yet, but it's just been interesting to see how that's something that He put on our hearts a few months ago. And then just over and over again, I keep seeing this idea, like, he's reiterating that He sees that desire, and probably that He put that desire there. And at the right time, he'll lead us to a place where, he wants us to be for that.
Yeah, 100%. I think God's timing is perfect. Of course, we know that. But it's like you said, why didn't I think of Young? Like, it was weird you hadn't thought of Young Life before. Like, sometimes he, like, I feel like almost puts a block until it's like, okay,
the right time.
Here we go. It's time to move,
Yep.
And when the right people and the right things he has it ready for you, like he'll give that to you. Well, okay, but I think we need an update on the line dancing community. Is that out of the question, or
wait?
is that,
I missed what's going on.
Someone had brought up line dancing in one of our other podcasts, and then Brian was like, "Oh, that's so weird. We were actually looking at a line dancing like community group,
small group, line dancing small group, like a
hilarious.
How random!
I love it.
Random, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's not out of the question. We have not done it yet. But
I would really like you to pursue that.
What kind of line dancing? Like country line dancing?
I'm not entirely sure. It says line dancing and West Coast swing. So
hilarious.
I don't know. I don't know
any which way. She used to go like country dancing though, Brienne did. Okay. So I think it would be, although it's hard for me to imagine Jerry.
Well, I was a ballroom dancer in college.
Yeah, but you also like went out like, I'm gonna say bars, but you weren't like bar hopping, but like just to do country dancing, right?
Not country dancing, no. Latin.
No, when like Grand Central Station.
Yeah, I went there like 2 or 3 times, but I didn't really do line dancing. I did ballroom.
Whatever.
Ballroom and Latin dancing.
She's too fancy for that.
Apparently, I didn't know.
She's so sophisticated. I just don't know how. That wasn't what I was taught, what I learned.
Okay, all right, I get it. Okay, well, those were all amazing. I'm just so excited, Kenzie, for you to share your story with us, and I think I'm just going to leave it at that and let you go.
Yeah. Okay. So it has been so cool to see like how the Lord has allowed me to basically get the word out there because of what I'm doing. I need help. And I need people and I need resources. And since having said yes to the Lord and what he's asked me to do, like it's things like this, like people ask me to come on their podcast or a church asks to interview me or things like that. And it's just been really like, things that I could not do on my own. He is like helping me with and using his people to help me. So this goes back to probably 3 years ago. And one of my college roommates, her full-time job it's called Community First, which is essentially getting homeless people off the streets. And they have it's like a huge operation of tiny homes where they house them and then they work on that property. And it's like they build a neighborhood for people that were on the streets.
Yes.
And so obviously she's had a lot of experience with homeless people, and just learned how to navigate those relationships. And, it's something that we are all confronted with. Sometimes we don't know how to interact
for sure
with homeless people. Yeah. And, because you have all of the stereotypes and you have all of the fear probably, and you have like, sometimes you're like, well, I don't have anything, literally I don't have anything to give them. So I guess, do I just not make eye contact because I don't want them to think that I'm about to give them something if I look at them, And so me and my roommates, we keep up, and it's a constant conversation of like, Bridget, what do you think we should do in this scenario? Or what's the best way to like, approach this situation? And it was a constant conversation. It was on my mind. It was at that time that we were starting to look for schools for Liam, who is our oldest. And he had gone to kindergarten at a school in Mesquite, and we knew that we wanted to transition into something that would be better for our family. And so we started looking at other schools, and we ended up at FBA. All that to say is every day when I would take him to school and pick him up, I would pass a tent city.
Yeah.
And so it was just in my face constantly. It was like, well, I can't ignore this. I can't act like I don't see these people living under the bridge, literally.
Yeah.
And so what do I do with that? Like, what do I do with that information? How do I handle that? Because I think some people are confused about when they hear about what I'm doing. They're like, oh my gosh, like, man, I love that you're called to homeless people. And I think that that's so cool. And I have to like clarify that I don't think I'm necessarily called to homeless people. Like, I'm just called to people because I'm a Christian. I'm not called, like, he didn't give me a particular set of skills to, like, I feel like that's from the movie Taken. I was given a particular set of skills. All that to say is,
well, I think we all are, though,
yes,
right?
That's what I'm trying to say. It's like, we are believers. We are called to the least of these.
Right.
We are called to the people that are hard to love, and we are also called to anybody. is really what I'm getting at. But like, so I do want to put that out front. This is not like, oh, Kenzie has this special heart towards homeless people. It was in my face. It was in my daily, route. And so it was kind of like, you're either going to ignore it or you're going to do something about it.
You were forced to confront.
Yes.
Yeah, what you were going to do about it.
So with the experience of talking with my roommate, Bridget, and now this being in my path twice a day, dropping off and picking up, I just was like, started the thought of like, Lord, like, what do you want me to do about this? Is there anything extra I need to do? Or is it just like, I just need to learn how to interact with people that are right here? Just as like a passerby. And I kid you not, in June 2 years ago, I was sleeping. It was in the middle of the night, and the Lord just woke me up. And it wasn't like it was a dream. It was truly like a vision of what I needed to do. And even down to like what I was supposed to call this, which is SHADE, which stands for Serving the Homeless and Dignifying Everybody. Wow. And, kind of the idea of SHADE, of just like, okay, what does SHADE do? SHADE gives temporary relief from from the harsh sun, or SHADE covers you. And it was just like, this is what you're going to do.
You just knew.
Yeah. And he gave me the vision of like exactly what we need to do. So I had that vision in June. So I took the rest of the summer to like get the word out, started a Facebook so I could, take donations. And I'm like, we don't have any money. So I'm like, how am I going to get all the supplies? And
yeah, you've got the idea, but what about the resources?
Yeah, because the Lord was like, I want you to give haircuts, and I want you to have showers, and I want you to have clothes, and I want you to serve them a meal, and I want you to have a table and eat with them. And
that requires a lot of
I'm
resources.
just like, Lord, can you talk to Wells Fargo?
Step at a time here.
Yeah.
Yeah, this wasn't like a small thing. This was like he gave you the whole.
Yes.
And it's funny because like we say a lot of times he doesn't do that, right? Like a lot of times he gives you like one thing to put one foot in front of another, and eventually you see the bigger picture. But he starts you small so you don't freak out, and that is not what he did for you.
He did not spare me of that. No, he did not. So, I did feel good about taking a couple months to like really like get it going.
Yeah.
But I acted on it pretty immediately. As far as the next day, I like texted my family. I was like, all right, family meeting, because we're about to do something. I was like, y'all are involved.
Okay. Well, you may not have a particular set of skills, but I will say you have a particular set of family and people surrounding you.
You're so right. Yeah. I have the perfect family. And this was a great example of that. I just texted them. We met that night after we got all the kids down, and I was like, this is what the Lord gave me, and y'all gonna have to help me.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay.
Yeah.
Of course, my grandma was like, well, what about permission from the city? And what about, like, I was
that
just
would
like,
be me.
Yes.
What about the rules?
Yeah. And that's good. I need people like that, because I am so, my mind never goes there.
Yeah.
I'm always just like, it should be fine.
Yeah. That'll all work out.
Which has been a good thing in this particular situation, because a lot of times I'm like, we're just going to go out there.
Yeah.
Like, we're just going to go out
That's
there
great.
and we're going to ask for forgiveness rather than permission.
For sure.
So, sorry, I got the allergies. Okay, so started taking donations, started getting the word out. And, you know, even little things like before this, I was the athletic director at a middle school in Mesquite.
Mm.
And so I had this connection with this guy who made our banners for the gym. And him and I had a good relationship. You know, we ordered from him every year for our athletics. And so I just reached out to him and I was like, can you make me signs and a banner?
Yeah.
And he just did it for free.
That's amazing.
And so even little things like that were just like, man, this makes us look a little bit more legit than just going out there and whatever. So
yeah,
it was just little fun things like that. And so September came around and y'all, I was freaking out. My biggest thing was like, man, we're going to go under the bridge with all this stuff. I had so much stuff, y'all, like so much stuff.
That's
trucks
amazing.
Full of stuff. And
like clothes, hygiene products,
showers.
Yeah.
I had my salon chair because I had to learn how to cut hair because I have 4 boys in my house and I'm not paying for haircuts every 2 weeks for all this stuff. And so, man, I was freaking out because I was just like, we have all this stuff and we might go under there and they might just look at us like, what are y'all doing?
Yeah.
You know, like, who are y'all to just like come down here and think we need a handout? Or I just had all those fears going on.
I mean, it must have felt like a really vulnerable place to put
completely
yourself.
Vulnerable. And, you know, the other side of it is just like, it's a little scary.
Yeah.
Like,
is it even safe?
Is it even safe? And I remember telling this to my grandma and also the Lord telling me, like, he does not call us to be safe.
Yeah.
Like, does he want to protect us? Sure. And will he protect us where he calls us to go? Yes. But if you think about it, like if you think about these missionaries that are out there, like in places and unreached people groups and don't want to have access to the outside world. And they're like you go on and on about all these scenarios, people in China and whatever, like it's not safe.
Yeah.
And
we kind of have a distorted sense of what we're called to, I think, here in the US, you know, but if you look through the Bible, like
people go into dangerous situations all the time.
Yeah.
For the sake of the gospel.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that part was, I was just like, man, if I get shanked under this bridge, at least I was doing what I was supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's a worthy way to go out. It's a worthy way. Yeah. So I got over that part pretty quickly. My fear in that was just like, I don't want to put people I love in danger. I felt fine about letting go.
That's hard.
Because I'm like, I'm asking my whole family, minus the kids, to go out here.
Yeah.
And that's just a really big ask, you know, for people that also, you know, didn't get this vision like I got. Like, I'm just going to need y'all to trust me.
Yeah.
So we get there, we pull up, you know, it's like, we just had to literally pull onto the median. Like, there was no place for us to park. I really didn't think through all that stuff. I was just like,
good. I mean, that's probably better.
We're just going to get there, and I think it's going to be fine. So we pull up, we get our trucks onto the grass under the bridge, and I kid you not, first we like prayed, and I just tried to settle down. And the second we start unloading tables to set everything up on, this guy who goes by Cowboy comes up. And he was like, what are y'all doing? And I said, hey, like, we're coming out here to get y'all a lot of stuff. And like, we have a bunch of things to hand out if y'all are interested. And he was like, oh yeah. I'm like, how much time do you need to set up? Cause we'll be ready. I'll get the crew. And the second we got set up, like we probably had 15 people come. And it was like the biggest, I just get teared up thinking about it. It was just like the biggest moment of like God being like, it's like when I ask you to do something, I'm going to work it out for you. And thank you for saying yes to do it. And so it was just a really great night. It was sad and it was heavy. But it was also just like, man, I feel good because I was obedient. You know, I was obedient to what he asked me to do.
Yeah.
And even to this day, like a lot of people have questioned me about like, okay, well, what about like the long-term solutions? What about like getting them into a job and getting them involved in a church and all these things? And I completely agree that those are all great things. That's just not what I'm called to do right now.
Yeah.
Right now, it's just about the temporary relief and just to really dignify them as a human being. Because I think sometimes because of what the streets do to people, we don't really see them as human anymore, or we certainly don't see them as image bearers of God, and they are. And so that's our main goal, is to like, I want to put my hand on your shoulder and know that like I'm not afraid to touch you, and I'm okay to like touch your sweaty, dirty head and give you a haircut with my bare hands, and I can feed you, and I can. There's a picture from our very first outing where my mom is just crouched down with this girl named Michelle, and Michelle's, you know, she just was sobbing, and she was like, I was about to give up, and I asked God, like, if you're real, we need help. And then y'all came.
Dang.
And yeah, it's just,
we need Michelle on the podcast.
We need Michelle. We need Michelle to come because she can testify. But so that being said, it was a really great night. We packed up our stuff, we went home, and it just kind of framed out like how we needed to operate moving forward. So since then, we've gone out once a month. And for a while, it was at that same spot. And it was even cool. A lady from Sea Life called me up and she was like, rumor has it you have a homeless ministry. I didn't know who this lady was. And she just had heard, I guess. And she was like, well, I want to be a part of it. And she had already kind of done stuff in a different location. So at that point, we got to spread out into 2 locations, and that we're going out once a month. And donations were coming in, like people, man, y'all, like people that I graduated, like I had one person that I hadn't seen since elementary school find it on Facebook and like give me hundreds of dollars worth of stuff.
Wow.
A guy that I graduated high school with, he sent me $1,000 on Amazon, and he was like, don't ever get low on money again. Like, just let me know when you need more. And it was like people like that, like out of the woodworks, just like so many people wanted to help. And so then we were in 2 locations for a while. And then because of the nature of this gig, the city had run this tent city out. Like they had moved them out. They weren't allowed to be under the bridge anymore. So, and this is a God in the grocery aisle, actually, situation where, you know, we knew that that's always a possibility of like them getting moved out. And we had started to form relationships with these people. We would go out once a month, and it was about 15 people. So we saw the same people over and over again. And there was one guy in particular named Richard, and we just got pretty close with him. He was so like, he was always super helpful to like want to help us unload the trucks and like help clean up, and he just kind of stood out to us. And he was the one person that we saw religiously every month. And so I was super bummed because I was like, we'll never get to see him again. Like, well, I can't find him out of all of Dallas where he got moved off to. He doesn't have a phone. So it's like, I guess what we did with the time that we had with him was going to be enough. So that was a little sad. One Sunday, we're going to church, which, to kind of give you some context, where this tent city was and where my church is like a 35-minute difference. Like it is miles and miles and miles and miles and miles away from where this tent city was. So we go to church. It was actually the day that my oldest was getting baptized. So my whole family was there. We went to church, we saw him get baptized, and then we wanted to celebrate after at Brahms. There's a Brahms right around there at our church. So we all got ice cream. It was a Brahms we'd never been to before. And we are leaving, and everyone takes a left because that's the direction towards home. But Ryan, my husband, his GPS took us right. And lo and behold, look who we find right after we turn is Richard.
Oh my God.
I'm not kidding y'all. 30 miles away from where I'd seen him.
Oh my God.
And he was standing on the corner asking for money. And it felt like Christmas morning. I was like, Richard!
Oh.
And y'all, we have lost him 3 times and I've always found him in Dallas. It is
my God.
It is the coolest thing ever. And it's just been like, if Shade was for nothing else, like this relationship with Richard has been, I know we're doing a lot for him and we're being really helpful for him, but it's also like, man, I have seen God's faithfulness so much in our relationship with Richard.
That's amazing.
And so that's kind of a very personal relationship we have going on right now. We have changed locations into like the heart of Dallas, which, like I told you, in our first spot, we had about 15 people. In this spot, we see over 200 people.
Dang.
Wow.
It is crazy. It is crazy. We pull the trucks up, and I kid you not, there is a line
ready for
forming.
Yeah.
And so we bring out just as much stuff as we can, and we leave empty-handed every single time.
Wow.
Whereas before, we would always load the stuff back up and just bring it back out and see if they wanted it again. And there was always extra. There's never anything extra this time around. Like anytime we go to this new spot, just people have been so generous to just keep giving money. I had a garage sale last summer, and specifically for Shade. And we made in Mesquite, a good garage sale is making a couple $100,
sure,
and we made $5,000.
What?
We made $5,000, y'all. Like,
what?
I'm like, I wish this was for myself. Like, I changed my mind. But
wow.
I was just, it was just like, and I say we made like 3,000, and then someone was like, just donated us $2 more thousand because they were like, we don't have anything to give you to sell, but we would love to help you.
Yeah.
And it's just people like that, y'all. Like, people are, like, well, I don't really feel comfortable going out with you, or we don't have the means to go out with you. Sometimes it's elderly people, but they're like, but I can give you this, or I can order something off of your Amazon wish list and get it sent to your house, and I can help out in those ways. And I mean, that's huge. Like, I'm fine to go out, but I don't have the money to like get all 400 sticks of deodorant all the time, like, so it's just been cool to see like the true body of Christ, like in action. And, the garage sale that people donated their random high chair and couch to, like, we were able to do so much with that. And so, long story short, we go out, we have the hygiene products, we give haircuts. I really harp when people come out there with us that, like, we look them in the eye, we get their name. When we hear their name, we use it. Because if you think about it, like, they're unknown. Yeah. People don't know them. They might go a month without anyone knowing their name. Yeah. And can you imagine, like, going even a day with no one being like, hey, Chelsea, like, to feel so unknown. And even to take it a step further, you're really avoided by people. For sure. Because people are afraid of you, or people don't know what to do, or people have this preconceived notion about giving you money because what are you going to do with it when I give it to you? Yeah. And so it's been a good learning experience for me. It's been so cool to see God's people help me and come alongside me. And I kind of feel like Moses, when I think I can't remember if this is the right story, but like Aaron and someone else come up beside him and hold his arms up when he can't do it anymore. Yeah. And that's just how it's been. Yeah. Like, there have, of course, been times where I'm like, man, I don't want to pack all this stuff up. And where in my house can I put all this stuff that people have been giving me? And, like, people just hold me up. People just hold me up and encourage me. And it's been, and the people that we serve are so grateful, y'all. It's like they are not aggressive with us. They are not mean. There's every once in a while people that are like, not in their right minds. So
Sure.
that's,
Yeah.
we'll take that with a grain of salt. But like,
Yeah.
it's just been really, really, really cool to say the least. And, for now I feel good about what we're doing. If the Lord wants to expand it later on, then I'm open to that. But I feel like right now we're being obedient to what he's called us to do.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
Yeah.
And that's, you keep saying yes until he changes course, and then you move with him, right? But it's also like, I was looking at my phone because I wanted to look up this verse and I didn't want to get it wrong. I think we probably all know it, but 1 Corinthians 12:12, there's one body, but it has many parts, but all its many parts make up one body. It is the same with Christ. I guess it's not right here, but then, the eye can't say to the hand, I don't need you. The head can't say to the feet, I don't need you. So it's talking about how all the parts
Work
of
together.
the body, are important, and equally so, right? And so there's nothing to say down the road, maybe he won't bring somebody else in, to carry on a different part of the calling or whatever. But
For sure.
I mean, you could just see in the story that you just told how that's true. There's all these different parts of the body combining together to make this happen.
Like there's a sweet group of older ladies that they can't go out with us, but they know how to cook and they can cook really well. And so they prepare the meal every time for us. And they wrap up almost 100 burritos and go to the grocery store and get all the stuff that we need. And it's like, man, that for me right now, as a mom of 4 kids and 3 little ones, like I can't be making 100 burritos.
For sure.
What the heck? When would I have time to do that? So it's been really, really sweet.
Yeah. I mean, what I love so much too is that, like, you've talked about how you've been able to bless these people and so many of them, but also just like the tremendous blessing that this has been for you and in growing your relationship with Christ and understanding his faithfulness in a new capacity.
For sure.
That, like, when we resist the calling, we don't get that blessing of being able to see that. And that's
been my main thing of just like, sometimes he calls you to do things that you're like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And I don't have the means to do this, but I can't deny that he's asked me to do it. And so am I going to say yes? And then once you do, the floodgates open to like how he's going to provide all the things that you're going to need for it. And that was, I mean, it was just like that for me. Like he just needed me to say yes. And I don't want to come off as perfect. Like I have said no to so many things that he's asked me to do. And this has just been one where I did the right thing, and the Lord has truly blessed us for it, for sure.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Well, and one of the things that really stood out to me was that, like, yes, you said yes, and yes, you were obedient, but I would even take it one step further to say, like, you were praying for, I don't know if opportunity is the right word, but like you saw that there was a need, and you were praying into that need, like, Lord, what do you want me to do here? Do you want me to do something here? And like, just that surrendered heart of like, maybe the answer was, smile and wave as you drive past, a small act of kindness, but maybe the answer is, start a ministry that you have no business or means to start.
100%.
And God's going to provide, and I think so often we can miss out on things that God has for us because we don't have that. What is it that I'm looking for? Like, we don't have that openness to like see that God can work in anything.
It's just like the surrender of like how you want your life to be. Like sometimes we have to let that go because the Lord wants us to do something different that it ends up being greater than what we have for ourselves. And we're like, we're just like so close fists, like, well, if I say yes, then what if my family suffers? Or what if I say yes? What if I go into debt? Or if I say yes, like, I might not have the energy to do something else. It's like,
we're thinking all about all the things that we could possibly lose if we say yes, and not what he's going to fill us up.
And there's been so much like ripple effects, even to my little kids, of just like, they also look for opportunity to be generous now, and they are not afraid of people that are made in the image of God, even though they look a little bit scary. And Richard has been to our house, and the other day Richard texted and he was like, I don't have money to get back home, to ride the bus and get back home. And I was just saying it out loud to Ryan, I think. And Luke was like, well, I have $5. Like, I'll just, and it's like, $5 for a kid is like, oh yeah, I'm rich.
That's a big deal.
And he just gave it away. I want them to know that, like, man, just as special as you are, and just as much as you are created in God's image, like, so is Richard. And how I would want someone to love you, we gotta love Richard. Yeah. And so
I will say, Kenzie, even since I've heard your story, I make such an effort, even just driving by a homeless person, asking for money. And sometimes I have something that I can give them, and I don't always, but I will at least always smile and wave and make sure that I make eye contact with that person, just to,
it's huge,
let them know that I see them.
Because can you imagine people always just being like that, like looking down,
looking away
when you're standing there, like acting like you have the plague or something? Like, it's huge. And I mean, that could change their day for sure.
And I just think that wasn't like a praise to myself by any means. It's such a tiny thing, but I just, to your point about the ripple effect, like even just you telling your story one day in Bible study, it caused me to stop and say, like, what small thing can I do? It's so simple, and so that's huge. There was something else that I wanted to say. Something that struck me a lot was you saying, even if it was just Richard, even if that's all that ever came from it, that would be enough. And I think it's really hard, even Brandon and I doing this, to not get wrapped up in like, well, how many people are we impacting? Because if it's not enough, then that's not good enough, And it's like, that's not the point. And
you want to quantify what you're doing.
And God's not, He's like, did you say yes? Are you doing what I've asked? And if one person is what I had, then one person is what I had. And that's not up to us to decide. We just have to be obedient and let him do the rest. And we talk all the time about the fishes and loaves. Like we just have to bring our little fish and loaf sack lunch and let God multiply it.
Which is funny that you say that, because the ministry that my roommate works with, they're called Community First, but when they go on the streets and they serve food, it's called mobile loaves and fishes.
Oh my gosh. I love it. That's awesome.
So neat.
Yeah.
Wow. Chelsea had not told me anything about this. So I didn't know what you were going to talk about.
Yeah.
Incredible. I love your story. It's so amazing.
Thanks for letting me tell it on here.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming. So my one question for you is, if somebody has the vision and they know what they're being called to do, but they're struggling to come up with that yes, what advice do you have?
I would say, I would say that there is blessing in obedience, and not even that like you're gonna be thriving after, but just like the what it does to yourself inwardly, to be like, man, I did what I was supposed to do. Like there's some freedom that you get, because you're like, man, he asked me to do this and I said yes, and it was really hard and I didn't want to do it, but I said yes. So now I can maybe say yes to something bigger down the road. And not that like every time you say yes, it's going to be like, oh my gosh, like people are throwing money at you and people are saying that they want to help and all these things. But it's just like, man, sometimes God is just asking you to say yes. And nothing might happen after that. But he wants to, like, sometimes it's just like, are you with me? Like, are you willing to do what I've asked you to do? Just like how it is with Abraham and Isaac. Like, were you willing to sacrifice your son?
Right.
I'm going to provide the lamb and you're going to have to do it. But were you willing to go up the hill and do that?
And do you trust me?
And do you trust me? And there's just so much that's happened for me, just personally. Nothing else to do with Shade. Nothing else to do with anyone else. But how it has grown my faith to be like, I said yes, and I know I did what I was supposed to do. It has emboldened me to do bigger and better things,
Yeah.
and harder things. And so I don't know if that's helpful, but
100% it is.
that's the advice I have to give.
Yeah. It's just sometimes that first yes, you just got to get over that hump.
Yeah.
Well, and just so you know, you were a first little yes for me. I don't know why, but I had so much anxiety about asking both you and Courtney to come on the podcast. And I had it like for weeks, you know, I was like sitting at y'all at Bible study and I was like, I need to ask them. God is asking me to ask them and I'm not doing it. And it was like, I just was like, all right, you know, we had the go collect your wood session in Bible study. And I was like, I got to do it.
Man, you don't have to worry about me. I love a mic. So I'm not afraid of a mic.
Well, it's just like such a blessing to have you here and to be able to hear your story. I mean, just to personally be able to hear your story even again. And hopefully, you know, there's listeners out there impacted by it too, because it's just such a beautiful and amazing story. So
thanks for letting me share it.
Thank you.
Kenzie, where can our listeners find you or find information about Shade if they
so the best way that, you know, I was hesitant to get on Facebook just because I don't do a ton of social media stuff, but it is the best way to reach the masses. And so it's under my name, Kenzie, Kenzie, Castle, spelled like, you know, the castle. But it's just a Shade account. Like I did it as my name so people would know. But I only post about Shade, and I have our Amazon wish list on there, and I have pictures of every time we go out, and that's probably the best way.
Yeah. And if there is anyone, they can always contact me and I can get them in touch with Kenzie. So.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And our email address, I'll say that right now. You say it. You say it.
I have to say, you say it.
Set it up.
Okay, our email address is hello at getgap.com.
Yes.
Shortened version of God in the Grocery Aisle podcast.
Love it.
Awesome. And if you enjoyed Kenzie's story today and want to hear more stories that are inspiring like hers, please subscribe to our channel so that you'll get updates when we post new episodes. And that's it.
Woohoo!
So thank you all for joining us. Brian, do you want to real quick pray us out?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this time. We thank you so much for Kenzie's story. Lord, as always, you are just incredible, amazing. Like those words don't even begin to cover it.
Mm-hmm.
Just the intricacy with which you weave together details of our individual stories into your greater kingdom story and your kingdom mission. And Lord, I just thank you for Kenzie's yes, for her obedience to do the things that you've called her to. And not only that, Lord, but for her openness to seeking out your will and willingness to step into to others' mess and to be there with them and for them and to bring you to them above and beyond all things, Lord. I just thank you and praise you. I ask that you would draw listeners to hear Kenzie's story. Anyone that you have to support them, we pray that you would place that on people's hearts. And we just thank you for the message that she shared with our listeners today. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right. Thank you, listeners. Thank you, Kenzie.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us on the God in the Grocery Aisle podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with a friend to help us spread the movement. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and leave us a 5-star review. Until we see you again, we hope you find God in the grocery aisle.